First and foremost, all praise to the Most High of our people and no one else. I come to y'all today with a dream that I had this morning. Um, it was an end time dream. Every time that I talk about this dream, I can't hold it together. I just start crying because it was it was real. It was revealing, and I don't even think that he's done showing me because the dream ended so abruptly. But to start off, I was in the house with my kids' mother, and we were cooking, and my kids, they were outside playing, and when we got done cooking, I called the kids in, and I continued to stand there on the porch, just observing where I was at, because it didn't look familiar to me. Even in my dream, I knew that this place was unfamiliar to me. Like, I didn't know where I was at. So I was looking around at my surroundings, and this truck pulls up, like a utility type truck pulls up, and these two guys jump out in military type uniforms or something like this, and they take this thing, and it's like the things that the slinky type, big slinky type things that you can mash down and they'll spring right back up, but this was just flat at that moment. But they used to make these toys that used to, like, you could crawl through, and you can mash them together and tie them together, and it would stay like that. But this was like but this thing in my dream, they threw it and it was flat, like a disc flat, and it shot up and it connected with something that was on this line. I don't, it wasn't a power line, because this was a big box, like it connected to this big box. And as soon as that thing connected to that box, something told me to look in front of me. And as I looked forward, I saw like this darkness, but it was moving towards me. It was coming towards the city and towards where I was at. And I could see that it wasn't clouds it moving that fast, because the wind was still. It was so still. Nothing was moving. Like, it was just still and quiet. So as this cloud, this what I'm thinking is, I know it's not clouds. I'm thinking it's birds, that they're running away from something. That's just the animal instinct. They're just running away. They're running away from something. That's what I thought. A humongous flock of birds is just flying towards this way. But then I take my eyes off of it, and I'm looking straight forward, and people are going hysterical. I don't know if it was from that thing that these people had put up to that box and made people go crazy, but everybody that I zoomed in, it was like 100 to 200 yards away from me that I could see people going hysterical. And in my dream, I guess the Most High had allowed me to, my vision was like, I could, something so small like this, I could I could look at it and it would be this big. So as I look at a person and I could zoom in on them, and my eyes, I could see their facial expressions and see what they were saying, and they weren't they weren't like human. They weren't, and none of them was of my complexion, but they were not human. And as that happened, I I did that, zoomed in and out of three different people's faces, and all of them were different, but they were not human. The faces were not of, they were people, but their face didn't look like mine. And as I stopped to doing that, when I came to the realization that they weren't human, and I took my attention from that, I looked back at the sky, and that flock was among us. That flock was right there, and I could see what it was, and it was not birds. It was like a flock of the white Pegasus horses. Those white horses that fly, that have wings. That's what I saw. As these Pegasus horses fly by, behind them are, as they are flying by, I go in the house and tell my kids that they need to get away from the windows, because I know something is coming next, and it's not good. It's not gonna be good. And as I tell my kids to stay away from the window, their mother comes to me and she's like, "I'm not staying away from no windows. What are you looking at? What did you see going on?" So she runs to the window, and I run to the window, trying to keep her from seeing what's happening. And she's like, "What is going on out there?" And I look out there, and it's raining meteorites. It's tearing buildings up. It's tearing buildings up. People are in panic, running, but there's nowhere to run. So as I'm in the window, she can't take it anymore. I'm still in the window, and she says she hears somebody coming in the back into the downstairs basement, which I didn't even know was there, basically. So I run away from the window to go to the basement, and it's two of my family members, and they sit looking at me like, "What's going on out there?" And I'm telling them that it's time. I keep telling them it's time, but as I'm telling them it's time, I got to go back to this window and see what's going on. And it's still raining meteorites. It's tearing down the city, tearing down the city. And I'm looking up, not knowing that right in my front of my face there's something going on. And when I look straight ahead in front of me, there's two dragons, the same two dragons that I put in my first dream, my first video ever. Those two dragons, that green one and the rainbow colored dragon, are in my front yard going at it. They battling. And as I'm watching this, not telling y'all that throughout this dream, I had been trying to wake myself up the whole time. I could feel myself trying to open my eyes, but the Most High would not let me. It was like he was telling me, you're gonna see this. And at the point to where those two dragons came into the picture and they were fighting, and I was like, I don't want to see no more. Like, I don't want to see no more. And that's when he woke me up. But when I woke up, the thought came to my mind that it's not over. So I don't know when part 2 is coming, but that's not the end of that dream. I want to get y'all feedback. Y'all let me know how y'all feel. Hit me up in the comment book, in my comments and my comments, and let me know how y'all feel, if some of y'all have had the same dream. And it's a big coincidence that I have this dream, and then I talk to my cousin a little bit later on face to face, and I tell him that I had this dream, and I didn't tell him it was an end time dream at first. Told him that I had a dream, and he said that I said that I had a dream, and bro, every time I talk about it, I cry. And he was like laughing. So I was like, it was an end time dream. So then his face straightens up and he says, man, I have those dreams too. It's a lot of us having these dreams and we're not putting them out there. They have to be told. They're not to be held. Y'all, it is coming. End times is coming. It's time to get away from here. It's time to not even get away from here. It's time to get away from here, but it's time to come back to the Most High. Put him first, and ye shall be first. Y'all take that, marinate on it, hit me up in the comments. Shalom.